Parents of Reddit, what is most cked up secret you are hiding from your children? My son's older half-sister molested him and that's why we don't see them anymore. Waiting until we can get into a psych for support before we break it to him. Edit. He was 3 when it happened, so was able to tell us quite graphically what was happening. The sister also admitted it and said she did it because it was funny and she liked to hurt him. DCP, Child Protective Services, became involved and investigated both families but couldn't find anything suspicious. We are telling him because we very strongly believe it is the right thing to do. We don't know how much he remembers and would much prefer to give him the coping skills now instead of possibly letting him disintegrate into a non-functioning adult with massive problems. Thank you so much for all the support. It is a horrible thing to deal with, but we are going to do everything in our power to love and support him. I am so sorry that so many of you had to go through similar situations. A colleague of mine has a friend who hid from her 8-year-old daughter that she, the 8-year-old, would die within a few years because of a terminal illness she got. I can see this. My daughter was just born with a rare congenital heart defect. She'll be aware she has it as she grows, but at some point we're going to have to tell her she'll be lucky to live to 40. That conversation is many years away. But it churns my stomach thinking about the burden she'll carry. The reason we don't talk to Uncle Jimmy is because he molested 8 students while he was a teacher for 20 years. Went to jail. And is now treated as if he is a leper in our city. My wife and I each have a child from a previous marriage. Both of our ex-spouses were abusive cheaters. Both children still adore and idolize their other parent and we just keep smiling and nodding. This probably isn't the type of thing OP was asking. But it is a secret that we will maintain for years. Edit. Thanks everyone for the replies and commiserative stories. Makes us feel better that we are not the only ones keeping things like this a secret. My father found out when he was in his 40s that his father was not his biological father. His mother, my grandmother, literally cheated on her husband with the milkman. Adoptive parent of 3 kids, 2 of which are biological siblings and cousins. Found out a year after the adoption that the biological parents were half siblings who shared the same dad. The bio parents found out after they had the first child and proceeded to have another. The kids are now 16 and 13 respectively and have zero clue that they are a product of incest. Unfortunately, their biological grandpa just passed away. So there very well could be a big reveal coming in the near future. That I've been changing every clock in the house on New Year's Eve to 3 hours early. At 9 PM we celebrate the new year. Then hang out for an hour. He thinks he's breaking every rule and has a great time. Now that he's turning 11, this will never happen again. With phones and being somewhat smarter. Posting here so when my kids are old enough to snoop they get a split second of excited expectation before they are greeted by my saying I do really enjoy having sex with their mother. I'm hiding a lot of things. I used to be a stripper for 10 years. Growing up in an abusive house. I partied hard and used to be part of Nick and Montreal club scene. That I was kidnapped and taken to another country. There's a lot of things. Now I'm just a boring accountant mom to everyone. No one has any clue what I've been through. Crazy what your kids don't know about you. My mom kept it a secret that the woman I was named after, her mom, my grandma, was stabbed to death by my uncle when my mom was 18. I always suspected my grandma had a tragic death because of how my mom would avoid talking about it. But I didn't know it was that tragic. I'm the child. I recently found out about the murder-suicide attempt my great-grandmother tried to commit on her family. Her daughter, my grandmother, survived the attack and some years later moved to Canada as a teen and eventually got married and had my dad. Pretty haunting. My son was a product of rape. He just thinks I had really low standards in men at one point. That we don't go to bed the same time as they do. That's me every night at bedtime. Daughter. Books. Me. No more books. Time for night night. Daughter. Books. Me. No more books. Time for night night. Daughter. Mama? Me. Mama went night night. Time for night night. Daughter. Daddy. Me. Yes. I'm going night night too. It's 6:45. Of course I'm not going night night. After reading a bunch of these, I feel pretty good that my most cked up secret is that I eat most of their Halloween Easter parade candy when they're at school. I don't have kids, but here's a family secret. My mom and I left the straightener on for 2 days while we took a family trip to Canada. It doesn't have an automatic off. We haven't told my dad. Edit. The house is fine. The counter was just really hot. This was like 2 years ago. Did it work? Or is your house still gay? I am a single father. His mom left when he was 2. I broke up with her. Then found out she was pregnant. I begged her to have an abortion or put up for adoption. She refused. The moment he was born I obviously changed my mind. Bastard stuck with me for another 6 years at the least, whether he likes it or not. We ended up homeless and in a shelter when his mom left. But I have no regrets. We hit the lottery for $12.5 million and nobody in our family, including our children, has any idea. Besides us and the government. The only other people who know is an attorney we hired to keep our identities private, as well as an accountant. We have kept our lives pretty normal as we both work, so there looks like there's an income coming in as we both enjoy what we do and didn't want to have anything change drastically. We just didn't want to ruin our relationships with everyone or spoil our kids, as we have it safely invested for their future assist, but not until they establish themselves on their own without any idea that there is a safety net. We support numerous charities. It's a blessing to win, but a bigger blessing not to be destroyed by money. Obviously this isn't my real name, which would defeat the whole purpose. Not a parent but a child. This last Christmas I found out that not only was my mom had already been previously married and divorced, but my dad had a kid before he married my mom. So I have a half brother or sister that I have never met. The real kicker was I found it out from my new sister-in-law, who had someone did some digging. Found out. Assumed that I must already know and brought it up out of the blue on Christmas Eve while we were baking cookies. That I got all these bedtime facts from Reddit. My son was planned. But after separating from his father when my son was 8 months old and having basically nowhere to go, no way to actually take care of us on our own. Many times I thought about the possibility of dropping him off at the hospital and skipping town. I never did. And he is 8 now and we are very happy. I just want to say this is a completely normal thought, but it's your actions that count. We all have thoughts we aren't proud of, but you persevered and that's what matters. Don't feel ashamed of what you didn't do. Be proud of what you did. I am the child, but my dad waited till I am grown up to tell me that my mom gave me a lot of sleeping pills when I was a little child. So she could leave me alone at home to maintain her relationship with her lover while my dad was working in another country. That cleared up many things. Edit. Thanks for everyone wishing me well. I really appreciate that. I'm doing well and it doesn't affected me. Beside that, I don't remember much about my childhood. But I didn't suffer or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm dealing with depression and anxiety since a few years, but I'm not sure if this links to the drugging. But meanwhile, I'm pretty good at being depressed, to be honest, haha. Otherwise is my life really good? I want to clear up that I'm in okay terms with my mom. She learned from her mistakes and I forgave her. I just don't forgive her that she did my dad so dirty. My dad is the greatest person I've ever known and he deserves to be happy. Money is tighter than I'd like it to be. My daughter's Easter gift this year is a brand new expensive hair straightener that somebody else gave me as payback for doing them a favor. My son's Easter gift this year is a Lego set from my childhood. My mom kept most of our stuff in good shape in original boxes. Edit. Some people really don't like the idea of something other than candy or chocolate as an Easter gift. It's cool. All you'll do whiles things. After all the acid we did, we thought you kids would be flipper babies. My parents were in the high school class of 1968. My dad had actually attended Woodstock when they got married. In their wedding picture, My mom had flowers in her hair and my dad had a beard that made him look like Jerry Garcia. Yet somehow I went through my entire childhood and adolescence without realizing my parents smoke pot. They obviously did a good job of hiding it. Then I came home unannounced one day from college and the house just reeked of pot. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I'm the child here, but my parents hid from me for over half my life that I actually had a twin sister. But she had died at birth. Apparently even at the age of 2. I knew I had a sister without anyone telling me. Then throughout my childhood and early teen years, I would always pretend my imaginary friends or my actual friends were my twins. It all made sense when my mom sat me down a few years ago and told me my twin sister had died at birth. Sag T. I'm an only child too. So that doesn't really help me not feel bad. Not ours, but some friends of ours. The husband died late last year of kidney failure. The mother told her 4-year-old son that his father went overseas to work until he is 18. My dad told me my mom had vertigo, which is why she fell down a lot. My bad health. She is 2 and she just wants mommy to play. How do you explain cancer to a 2-year-old? Grandpa's not their grandpa. I didn't find out until I was 30 that my dad adopted me and my mom was married to someone else when I was born. My 15-year-old was looking at those DNA kits in the store. I wonder what surprises it would find. Oh. More than you think. Sweetie. Asterisk. I'll tell them someday. Just not what the right time is. Then again. That's what my parents told me when I asked why they never told me about bio dad until he reached out to me and blew their secret. That I don't actually enjoy watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. My 2-year-old would be devastated because that's our show. I have a copy of Grand Theft Auto hidden behind some books on a shelf. I'm not the parent, I'm the child. But my family kept it a secret that my brother was a child molester and that my grandpa had ARP'd my mother and threatened to kill us grandkids. I found out because I told my sister that my brother had molested me and she told me about the rest. We were raised having a relationship with them like they were normal human beings. My parents told me my sister is adopted. They didn't tell her. She's 34. BTW help, what do I do? Buy the whole family DNA test kits for Christmas and watch the world burn. I'm the child, 48F. But my father told me my mother was dead all throughout my childhood and everyone in the family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, stepmother, supported the lie. Not because my mother was on drugs or abusive, or a criminal, or even a bad person. Just because they had a huge argument one night and she went to stay with a friend. Without me. So he decided she would never be allowed to be in my life again. Ever. He wrote her off. On my 18th birthday. She called our house and asked to speak with me. So. I found out the truth. My mom passed 15 years ago. My family had a bunch of stuff that they didn't go through. And that they just kinda left for me. About 10 years ago when I was trying to downsize and get rid of stuff, I found medical documents that she had kept. Apparently, I was not an only child. She was pregnant with twins. I was the one that made it.